Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So, wanted to talk about what happened to our cat. It was 2 weeks ago to the day. One of the most scariest experiences that I've ever been in, being in an area that doesn't have a veterinarian available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was definitely an experience to have to use search engines to try to figure out what to do, how to do, and how to watch after our cat. So 2 Sundays ago, we were sitting out here on the deck, and we have one cat. Her name is Bitty. She's indoor slash outdoor cat. Normally she hangs around the deck. She hangs around the yard. She really doesn't go that far, but she stays inside all day. She prefers to be outside at night. Sunday morning came. We were out on the deck having coffee, and she wasn't home yet. And that's really not like her, so I had already started to get concerned. Probably about 15 minutes after that, she came running up onto the deck, and you could just tell that something was wrong with her. She was meowing at the top of her lungs. We're sitting there, we're trying to calm her down. We're trying to give her food and water. She doesn't want to eat, she doesn't want to drink. We're looking all over her body for any kind of injuries, any kind of wounds. We can't find anything, so we have no idea what is going on with her. And like I said, she didn't want to eat, she didn't want to drink. She wasn't really showing any signs of anything else. She wasn't throwing up, she wasn't foaming at the mouth, she wasn't lethargic, she wasn't falling over. She was just in pain, meowing like we've never heard her, and we couldn't figure out why she was in pain. So she walked off the deck, and she went and laid down under the vehicle, which she normally does during the day too. So we really didn't think anything of it. I watched her for about an hour, kept going back and forth and checking on her, and couldn't really see anything was wrong with her. At that time, she had stopped meowing, and she was just kind of laying there. And every time I would go look for her and look at her, she would, of course, respond. Later that afternoon, probably about 4 or 5 hours later, I went back looking for her, and she was not under the vehicle. And I started looking around for her, and I found her up underneath the house laying down. And at that time I was calling for her, and she wasn't responding at all. Her eyes were open, she was looking at me, but she wasn't moving her head, she wasn't moving. So I went up underneath the house, and it was at that time when I got up underneath the house that I realized that something was completely wrong with her. Her leg right here was just, it was swelled up, probably 4 times the size of what it normally is. So I knew something bad had happened. I called my wife. Catherine came down, asked for help. So I passed Bitty to my wife from underneath the house, and of course we brought her inside, and we started to look her over, and we noticed that there was 2 puncture wounds up here, and you could tell that they were definite puncture wounds. So we knew that she had been bitten by a snake, and now we knew that she had been, from everything that we researched and we saw, that she had been bitten by a venomous snake. And she just wasn't, at this time, she still wasn't having the throwing up, the diarrhea, the stuff coming out of the nostrils. She wasn't just falling over. But everything that we had searched online, because this was our first time going through this, pardon my turkeys in the background. So this was our first time going through this. Everything that we had searched up online said that if your cat makes it past 24 hours, normally it's going to survive, it's going to make it. Now this happened on a Sunday, and there are vets here in Belize, but there's not a 24-hour vet that you can rush your animal to here in emergency on a Sunday that I'm aware of, and I reached around and nobody else was aware of either. So we pretty much figured that we were going to lose her. So we tried to make her as comfortable as we could, and the swelling just got worse and worse and worse, to where the point I figured that the skin was just going to rupture. The swelling was so bad. And then of course we could see the swelling around the bite area. And then after examining her more, we noticed that she had another bite that was a little bit lower. So she must have got tangled up with this viper. She got hit once up here and then she got hit once lower. And like I said, we didn't think that she was going to make it. So it was a really trying experience for us. And we were just trying to keep her comfortable. Monday morning came and we had pretty much watched her all night. And Monday morning came, it was about 6 o'clock. And so it had been about 12 hours since she had, excuse me, no, it had been 24 hours since the morning before. So now we're a little bit more positive. We're a little bit more optimistic, thinking that she's going to survive this viper attack. And there's some very poisonous snakes that are here in Belize. So it was Monday morning. So we use a company called Reamers and Rhymers that's here in Belize. They are, in my opinion, they're a very outstanding company. They're owned by the Mennonites in Spanish Lookout. So we actually sent them a message on WhatsApp at 6:30 in the morning on Monday, and they responded back right away, which completely, was something that they didn't have to do, and they absolutely did that. And that's why I am recommending Reamers to anybody, because the person that was on their WhatsApp, they didn't have to answer that call 30 minutes before it opens in Spanish Lookout. They could have just ignored it, but they didn't. They answered back right away, and they were asking us, where did she get bit, how long. So we gave them all the information, and so their recommendations was to go get charcoal, but we decided against the charcoal because the charcoal is to pretty much take away the poison shortly after a bite, and we knew there was no way that we were going to be able to get the charcoal down her except force her, and it had already been 24 hours. So the things that were recommended to us was Encofen, this is for pain and it's for swelling. And as far as an antibiotic, Biocillin is what they recommended, and this has to be given with a shot, which Reamer sells this. Everything that you see here, you can get here right over the counter. So ran to the vet, hurried up and got all this stuff, came back, got the painkiller and the anti-inflammatory down her throat, and then gave her the antibiotic shot. And at this time, she was still in the same condition that she was the day prior. She was just very limp. She didn't want to move. She started to eat a little bit. I got her some canned food and I got her some tuna that was in water, and she started to lap up the tuna that was in water. So Monday night comes and she's still about the same, except we can see around the bite wound, it's getting really bad at this point. It's getting black, the necrosis from the venom, so we start looking again, and we reach back out, and we're pretty much told that she could lose her arm due to this snake bite, that we really need to keep an eye on it. So we start washing the affected area like every 3 hours, antibiotic soap, putting antibiotic ointment on it. And between giving her the medication and giving her the antibiotic shots and applying dressing to the wounds over a 3-day period, I believe it was on the 4th day, she just kind of snapped back and she was back to her old self. She was, moving around slowly, but she was actually getting back to herself. After 1 week, she was completely back to herself, going back outside, which she is right now. As much as we would love for her not to, she enjoys it, so it's not something that we can actually stop. So it was an experience, to say the least, to go through, going from pretty much, you know, thinking that we're going to lose our pet, that our cat Bitty is going to pass away from this venomous snake bite, to, well, she's going to survive, but she might lose her leg, to her making a full recovery. And it's been 2 weeks, and the wounds on her arm, you can still see they're still healing, but she is back to normal 100%. She's cleaning herself. She's active. Yeah, she's just back to herself. And I had researched some things, and I guess scientists still don't even understand, or they don't know why a dog can get bit by a viper and the chances of it passing are like 90 to 95%. Cats, for some reason, and everything that I looked for, scientists still can't figure out why. Cats can have a real high tolerance to a venomous snake bite. And like I said, Bitty she didn't just get bit once, she got bit twice by whatever type of pit viper it was that bit her. It could have been a Tommy Goff. There's numerous. The fangs were a good maybe inch apart, so this was actually a large snake. It wasn't a small snake. Excuse me, it was not a small snake. You could tell by the distance between the fangs. So going through all that was trying enough, but it's miraculous to watch an animal come back, because since I've been here, there's been several people that have been bitten by a pit viper, and they're in the hospital immediately. You know, there's anti-venom being administered. Just, it's absolutely crazy to think that our little cat got struck twice by this pit viper and was able to come back. And of course, it took help, but she was able to make a full recovery. So I just wanted to share this story, because if your cat does get bit by a poisonous snake, there is a chance of survival and recovery for your pet. I would definitely, I've learned something, you know, like I said, we're always going to keep antibiotic on hand with a syringe and some anti-inflammatory and pain meds for all of our animals, just in case this ever were to happen again, because we do live, you know, in the middle of the jungle. So it's not out of the ordinary. So if your cat is bit by a pit viper, I would reach out to a vet right away. But if you can't, I'm just doing this video so you can know what we did. We did not have a vet to reach out to right away. We pretty much relied on what was on the internet and what was on YouTube, and reading threads of what people said would happen and what to look out for. So we kept looking out for the worst case scenario signs, the best case scenario signs, and we went through a 24-hour period of not really having any help but what was out there on social media. So it's important for me to do a video, because somebody else out there might be getting ready to go through the same thing, and the information that I share may help you out, because that's what helped us out in this scenario. So yes, it's absolutely possible for your cat to get bit by a pit viper and make a full recovery, not lose a limb, and to come back. So hope this information was helpful to some people. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed. Got a lot more videos coming out for you. If you haven't subscribed already yet, please hit that subscribe button. It helps get our videos out there more to a lot of people. And I appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one, everyone.